Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Alpha X Pro Replay Cast, where we bring you the best games of yesterday, today. Today we have an amazing TVZ featuring these two players spawning. Down here in the bottom position, he is Dark. And his opponent up here in the top, he is Time. You're always trying to run away from time and out of the dark, so this is going to be a very epic TVZ series. TVZ, kind of the penultimate StarCraft 2 matchup, just the whole bug versus man kind of scenario just makes it so interesting to watch. And I think everyone can agree some of the best games, most of the best games of SC2 history have been TVZs. But this is the Alpha X Pro Replay Cast, meaning that we have some of the best players from all over the world coming in, and we're bringing them to you again because we either missed them or we just didn't cast them the first time, and we wanted to bring our own little emphasis on these gameplays. Right now, nothing too crazy going to be going on in Death Aura. We just see pretty normal starts here for Time and Dark. And I think we're not really going to see too many crazy shenanigans here, as Time, just more known for his straight-up play. Doesn't really go too hard on the cheddar. And Dark, you know, he's a player that lives for the late game. Once he gets into that late game scenario, he is just so powerful and very difficult to defeat. Now Time going to go pretty aggressively with his scouting. He wants to make sure that Dark isn't going to be aggressive in this early game, just making sure no roaches are on his way. Checking the timing of the first hatch before this Reaper comes in. And, I mean, from there, he's pretty much just going to dance around for a little bit. Going to be adding on the Hellions as well. Try and get a little bit of work done that way, but just not too much really going to happen here for the next couple of minutes. Just a little bit of a nuisance for Dark to deal with. And you can see some amazing control here, just keeping all of those links alive for the time being. We should be seeing him throw down the creep tumor as well, start to expand that creep towards the third base. Time going to try and dive in on that creep tumor, but does not get it. So a little bit of a waste there, as he now has no vision on the other side of the map. Tech Lab gonna fall there. And this opens up a couple of options for him. He can either go straight into those bio upgrades with that, or he can switch it over, get the Banshee or Raven, and just kind of be a little bit more assertive out on the map from that. We do see Dark. Not really too much to say about him right now. He's got a little bit of time before he really starts to expand his tech tree and go into the lair tech as well. But I'm actually liking this. We have Widow Mines on the way. So a little bit of a drop going to be coming up here soon. Now, the question is, will Dark be able to spot it? He already does have some amazing vision out on the map, all over Time's base, so it's going to be really difficult to get out of there with any sort of drop play early on. But the addition of the armory does mean that those Widow Mines are going to stay burrowed. They don't reveal themselves after they fire their shot, but they are going to be revealed right here by that Overlord. And one thing to note as well, this is starting to gear up like a mech style of play. And the reason I say that is because we don't see any bio upgrades. We don't see any additional factory. Those will come in a little bit later. But the addition of the armory just opens up the possibility for a secondary Hellbat attack at the third base as well. Widowmine's going to drop, but there is a Spore Crawler in position. Now, so far, the Widowmine's not going to be able to get too much done. 2 workers going down for that. The Hellbats do morph, however. Widowmine has to be careful not to hit his own Hellbat friends. And again, this just isn't a ton of damage. He gets a couple of nice shots there, and this is a little bit more like it. But for the investment right there, you do need to say that you have to kind of hold yourself to a little bit higher standard for that attack. Only 9 workers going down. Now we do see the mech play going to be starting up here, just going straight into full Widowmine production, just trying to play it a little bit safer and keep kind of just keep some burst damage out before he transitions into Hellions, Siege Tanks, maybe even Cyclones if it's Battle Mech. But again, he's just going to try and get some more damage done with these drops. And I mean, Dark is a little bit oversaturated on that 3rd base. He still hasn't the 4th just yet. So, I mean, if he's not paying attention for a millisecond here, those drilling claws are really going to tear into his drone line. Now, it is not done just yet, so Time does have to be careful here with this medevac. But behind this, we do see he's going up to that Hydra Den. That'll allow him later on to get some lurkers and kind of just have a lot of map presence out. Widowmines actually are able to drop 5 workers going down. But now the Widowmines are pretty much spent. I'm loving this. Dark trying to go for a bit of a run by, but does get kind of found out there. And now Dark kind of recognizes what's going on. He still hasn't seen what this is, and we actually do see the bio upgrades starting to come in. So this has been kind of a strange transition into bio play. Time, I gotta say, he is being very aggressive with these drops, which could work out pretty well for him here as he finally gets some of those good connections. Even taking out a bit of those Zerglings as well. This one guy wanted to get in on the action, but he will be taken down soon. Okay, we do have Stim. So he's nowhere near far behind in terms of the upgrades as I would think. But, you know, Dark is going to have that +2 attack here pretty darn soon. So that's going to help him out quite tremendously in these fights. That's just so many Widowmines with this. Going to be looking for that burst damage to help him out in these fights. Couple of shots going up on the 4th base. And that will force Dark back for the time being. Once again, Time just going to keep going for these attacks. The big thing for that is that he does have to make sure that he's not getting diminishing returns with them. As this game goes on, Dark is just going to continuously be in a better and better position if this is the only damage that Time is doing. A huge shot on the Baneling is actually going to save this base as well. Only 6 workers going down, and they will be able to repair the planetary fortress. So overall, a solid defense, a little bit late on the pull, but the Lings are the primary targets right there, so only 3 workers going down. That could have been so risky for Dark. But you know what? Time is not done just yet. He gets a huge Widowmine shot right there. as he takes out the 5th base as well. And now he's going to be pushing forward on the creep just a little bit harder, trying to clear that up as it's starting to get pretty aggressive onto the mid stages of the map. Even going to deny that base for a little bit longer there. And now we see this position where Time is ahead. He's up over 30 army supply. And that means he is allowed to kind of just be more aggressive with these, as Marines are very, I don't want to say they're expendable, but they are very good at what they do, especially when it comes to trading evenly against the Zerg units. But now we are going to have lurkers in play here pretty soon, as well as the Hive. So he's on a bit of a timer with how this pure Marine army can go. A little bit of a seesaw here for Time. He's just going to keep moving forward, try and clear up some more of that creep with these small bands of Marines. There's even a Reaper there. That is definitely a misclick. But now taking a look at stock here. Time is relatively even on bases. You know, we still don't have that 5th base up for Dark, so he's been struggling to kind of get that economy rolling into the later stages. May not seem like a lot, but you do need to stay ahead by a base as the Zerg player. That's kind of StarCraft 101. Scan going to go down into main base to reveal the Hive. A couple of great Widowmine connections in the back, going to help clean up a lot of these Lings. But the Hydras are going to be enough to push this back. Look at that, 70 more Lings on the production tab. Dark has just been all over his larva injects. And now Time. Pushed back for a little bit. He just can't really move in there as efficiently as he would like. In terms of that siege tank production, he was a little bit late to the party, kind of focusing on that Widowmine for a bit of time. No pun intended. But what it comes down to now is Dark is starting to explode in terms of that economy. Scan going down, revealing the lurkers. So now it is time really to be a little bit, not hesitant, but a little bit more careful about where you position up. Stay within that siege tank fire range so that the lurkers can't get those shots off. We do see Time maxed out right now. So he is just going to be pushing the front, just slowly inching his way forward off of the creep, and that's going to help him out in this fight as Dark has to retreat back onto the purple carpet. Now the lurkers do have their range upgrade now. So they're going to be a lot more helpful. He needs to get those burrows right on top of siege tanks. Going to get a couple of great snipes off, so Dark really starting to fall in that supply. The lurkers just not really able to clean up as well as they could. Now Time does have to get on out of there, but he has dealt a very serious blow. If we take a look at that income, it doesn't look very powerful, but Dark had to use up his entire bank just to remake his army. Now Time does see this Nidus Worm finishing up, so that's not going to get too much. I think Dark was hoping that that would go unspotted for a little bit longer. But essentially that's just there to buy himself time. Even just small drops like this are meant to kind of push time back, keep him a little bit more defensive. And really there is nothing that can kill off that Overlord. So time is always going to have to keep units there to defend. It's either that or he has to clean that up, add a couple of supply depots, and just kind of make it so that the Nidus Worm can't drop in the first place. But now Dark is maxed out. And I'm a little bit worried about this attack. Oh, look at that. That is hilarious. It's Dark's first big counterattack here. He's got the lurkers in position, but he's got to be careful to those snipes. Going to lose a couple before the engagement even begins, and that is going to force him on the retreat. So time just doing a lot of the best moves. The problem is he has not touched the economy of Dark in such a long time. And when it comes down to it, and now Dark is going to be on the attack for as much as possible, investing a lot into this counterplay. And although it is going to get cleaned up here eventually, the amount of nuisance that it's going to cause for time is tremendous, especially now that he's in the main base and right on top of the production. Time having a lot of trouble cleaning this up. 22 more workers going down as well. A couple of furrowed lings in there, just a saving grace here for Dark. And now he can just get out of there with a majority of his army. And there you have it, Dark giving a massive blow to the economy of time. And he's not done just yet. The Nidus Worm could be going up in the natural as well. That does get cleaned up, but again, it just keeps time on his side of the map, meaning that he can't push out. He can't stop the forward expansions of Dark. And it's just not going to stop anymore. Dark has hit that critical mass where he can just continuously attack and expend these lings as much as he possibly can. And now we do see the creep right up to the final expansion of time. I think that's going to be pretty much all that he can get here, unless he can secure this bottom position. That's going to be difficult because I believe Dark is just going to fight tooth and nail. This is the new forward ground. Viper's going to get some amazing blinding clouds off, so those siege tanks are going to be useless in the fight. And Dark is going to clean up this army. He also has this small run by ready to go as soon as the time is right. And now we have the next big explosion in economy for Dark. We did see that Ultra Scavenger go down on the back of this as well, but the thing is, that's a pretty risky move, especially with the amount of ghosts that we have out on the map. Those Ultras are very squishy to the tank, or to the ghost shots. But really, it doesn't look like Dark needs him too well. He's going to continuously push this location, and he will be rebuffed for right now. but the next wave of Lings is already on the way. Time just continuously pushing forward. He has a pretty solid army supply lead. And now it's Dark who's kind of struggling a little bit as he's starting to chew through that small bank that he had and not really able to secure these forward expansions anymore. I think Time has the best unit comp that he's going to get. And I mean, he's continuously maxing out right now. His economy is just fantastic. He should start to kind of get rid of some of these SCVs and rely more on the mules for the mineral production. But other than that, he's doing fantastic right now, especially if he keeps getting shots like that. But here we go. Dark going to come in once again. Lurker's doing a pretty good job of forcing this back as far as they possibly can go. A couple of decent bandit connections as well. And look at that. Looking at it, Dark is going to be moving up here to the third base once again. Gets a kill on that orbital as well. And now the only thing he has to fear is those snipes. But hopefully for him, he can get a hit off on those ghosts before they can do so. He's trying to push this location a little bit, but he's starting to fall behind in terms of supply. And I mean, he just doesn't have the best answer for this big ball of lurkers anymore. Dark feeling pretty confident in his chances. He's just going to move straight on forward and look to close out this game. But he will be having to retreat here pretty soon. He's losing quite a bit. Oh, that was a lot of banelings to expend on the siege tanks as well. Maybe not the best connections there for Dark. But here we go. Time. This is not a last-ditch attack right now, but he's got to be careful. Every unit is going to count at this point. The bases are starting to mine out. We only have that one mining base that is full up on minerals right now, and Dark is securing the bottom locations. So that's the big kicker for Time right now. Is just he doesn't have the economy that he's looking for. Once again, Dark is going to dive right on top of these reinforcements. The cloak going to save those ghosts for as long as possible, but the longer that's going on, there's less snipes he'll have. There's no detection with this army just yet. He had to send that over for the nuke. But it doesn't even matter as he's going to clean up literally everything here. And now Time starting to run on fumes. And there you have it. Dark taking game number one. What a back and forth game. That just shows the level that these two are playing at. So we'll be right back with game number two. And we are back with game number two after that nail biter of a first game. Spawning up here in the top position, he is Time. And his opponent down here in the bottom, he is Dark. Now, the big thing about that last game is Time did a very aggressive opening strategy with those Widow Mines. He was really looking to do a bit more damage than he essentially found. The problem with that is he did kind of delay himself a little bit in terms of that other production. He didn't have his third racks up until a little bit later on than you would want. He was constantly pumping out Widow Mines still when there were Hydralisks in play when you really want siege tanks for that. So overall, he kind of sacrificed his late game a little bit, but he was able to bring it back in and make that game last a lot longer than it honestly should have. The problem is he just wasn't able to keep that damage up. He wasn't able to sustain consistent damage, so Dark was just sitting very pretty with his economy in that game. I think late game is kind of the part that Terrans do struggle with versus Zerg. Once you get up to that 5-6 base economy, it's just a little bit harder to push, especially if you're having trouble kind of getting rid of the creep, which Dark is famously known for having some amazing creep spread. And, you know, he just kind of ran out of steam there at the very end. He was unable to kind of close anything out. Now, that's not to say that Dark played it 100% perfectly. He did take one huge Widowmine shot there in the bottom, but, I mean, he's just able to replace it so quickly that it didn't really matter for him too much. Now the Reaper going to be coming in here, confirming the third base, so he knows nothing too crazy is going to be coming his way in the next couple of minutes. I'm not even going to be able to get that Ling kill. And as I say that, he gets it. Maybe even getting a second. But no, he's going to be a little bit more passive with this Reaper. He wants to keep it alive for a little bit longer. And we do see the Hellions going to be coming into play here pretty darn soon. So everything is right in the world in Time's mind. Ooh, this is where it gets a little bit crazy with the shenanigans. We do have that very fast Roach Warren. And now there's two big possibilities with this. One, he's fearing some sort of Hellbat timing, and he's making that defensively, but more than likely, this is going to be an aggressive Roach-based attack. Now, already we do see the Banshee in production, so any kind of attack is going to be thwarted a little bit by that. The Ravagers obviously are pretty squishy once you get into that airbase composition, but you know, if he can get a lot of damage early on and just kind of cripple Time's economy, then he's going to be able to steamroll him in the later stages of the game. We do see that Armory is on the production tab as well, so a Hellbat timing is in the works. Dark does get vision of that Banshee, so that is an important scout for him. But it does look like Time kind of recognizes what's going on and like just needs to play it out. Hellions notoriously not that good versus Roaches, especially in the numbers that Dark has right now. He's 34 to 25 in terms of that army supply. But here we go. This is going to hit very quickly for Time, but there is a lot at home here. Hellions going to just try and dive forward here out of that Hellbat mode. And they will be able to escape, but not before taking some significant losses. Banshee's going to reign supreme in the sky. There aren't any Spore Crawlers out just yet. And the lair hasn't completed either, so Overseer's out of the question. But still, Dark did very well in defending that, and now he's going to go on the aggression. Now he is going to get forced back. That second Banshee is enough to kind of clean this up. So that probably wasn't the best move. But overall, you know, Dark, he still defended a very expensive attack from Time. He was definitely expecting to get a lot more done with that. But now, just some Evo chambers. The additional layer is up. He's going to go for that fourth base here pretty quickly. And from there, he can just really start to skyrocket in terms of his economy. Now, it does look like he's going to be sticking on the roaches for a bit longer. The problem is roaches don't really scale very well versus bio into the later stages. So we're going to have to see how good these roaches can be while he has them. I think the upgrades are going to help out a little bit. But just overall, I think we're going to see a bit of a faster transition into Hive and such off the back of this. Have a little bit of a double prong drop as well, so Time going to be going for those Widow Mines once again. Kind of his signature right now. They do have Drilling Claws. And a bit of a late pull, so he is going to get 4 workers down. And hopefully for him, that Dark isn't paying attention here. A couple of good splits, but 10 workers do go down. Oh no, oh no. Dark just not paying attention right there, and that Widow Mine getting 23 kills before going down. That is the kind of damage that Time needs to keep consistent. Now we did have that infestation pit go down as well. So that is mean he can throw up that Hive whenever he wants. But 8 more workers going down, so Time doing a pretty good job of kind of just forcing Dark into his position where he needs to constantly remake his economy. Even going to get out of there with the Metavacs, which is really nice because those are gas-intensive units. Now this is the point where Time really can start to shine, as there's not too much out for Dark just yet. He has been focusing on rebuilding that economy that he lost, and he doesn't really have too much in the ways of army. So Time on a little bit of a timer to say before that Hive finishes and the lurkers start to come apart. We do see that he's primarily Marines right now, which just don't do super well versus large lurker balls. A little bit of a two-edged sword right there, as the Widow Mine actually does more damage than the roaches do. But good vision out there for Time, just making sure that he doesn't take any cheeky shenanigan damage right now. And it does look like he is going to start moving out towards that 4th base. Just wants to set himself up in a good position. Losing a couple of siege tanks, though, that is a nice pickoff for Dark. Mine Drop's going to get a little bit more damage done as Time is on the move out with an almost maxed out army. He spots the lurkers, so he knows he has to be a bit more cautious on how he moves forward. Dark being very aggressive, trying to get on top of those siege tanks, but a couple of nice yoinks is going to shut that down. It looks like that Widowmine almost got a shot off. But now it's really going to come down to how well does Time rotate around. The lurkers, very powerful, very dangerous to deal with, but at the same time, you can play around them. And that's kind of the big strategy here, it looks like, for Time, as he's going to rotate towards this third base. And now that the lurkers are burrowed, he's going to go straight for the creep and try and take this fight without them. Some great rapid fire is going to hit there. This siege tank's not able to follow for right now. The Blinding Cloud is going to finish, but not in time for those siege tanks. We do see a small attack coming up here in the top as well. Going to get a kill on that base. And I mean, from here, it's kind of a 1-2 kind of thing for Time. Pull the army up to one location and then hit at another. The problem is lurkers are very good set and forget units. No scan either, so he's going to lose that. He's going to lose that fight wide-handedly. And now Dark wants to go on the attack. Now ghosts are out, so now Dark's biggest fear is getting sniped. He already lost a couple of lurkers right there. Just taking a look at the resources lost, Time is actually losing quite a bit more than his opponent. So Dark is getting some really good trades right now. Now, this is kind of the problem that we saw in the last stages of the last game. Time just not going to really be able to get too much more damage done, as Dark has enough to kind of split up his forces efficiently versus these smaller attacks. So if Time wants to get some damage done, he's going to have to pool his forces together and go for bigger and bigger pushes. But Dark already almost maxed out once again. He's got 79 workers. Gonna get a couple of more as well. And I mean, from here, it's gonna be pretty back and forth, I feel. Just for a bit, Dark a little bit out of position for right now, but he is gonna be able to get on over and stop this attack, and also go for a very big lurker run by right now. No real need for that scan, actually, as the missile turret reveals all. So Time a little bit flustered with that. Now, that was a big loss there for Dark, only getting 4 SCVs for that. That was about 5 lurkers that went down. If Time can keep getting trades like that, really efficient, really just on the nose, then he is gonna be able to push through here. But yeah, Dark doesn't want to give him any time to expand anymore. I hope you like nukes, guys, because we have one on the way. Now, I'm liking this from Dark. He's going on the counter track, trying to pull the whole army of Time back. The big power in Time's army right now is the fact that it can siege up and be very aggressive in that location, but It's not going to help when you're rotating around like Dark is. Losing one of the bases, he can go for the second one as well. And with 16 workers going down, Dark is getting some good counter damage done. Now Time is starting to mine out on a couple of his bases. Losing that base definitely does hurt. Now he's going to try and get a little bit of counter damage himself, but the medevac does get taken down. Not really paying attention to it either, as the Liberator over here gets knocked out, and his army over here going to siege up on the low ground. Not that many lurkers, I gotta say, so every single snipe is gonna hurt more and more, and now that Time is established in this position, it's just so hard for Dark to break it. He's gonna have to just go for it here in a couple of seconds if he wants to save this base. Now, lurkers are able to cancel a majority of the snipes right there, so they will live to fight another day. And as Time is starting to get cleaned up there on the bottom a little bit, he is going to go straight for the top base over here. We'll be able to get a kill on that. Dark pulls his entire army, just leaving the lurkers. Time keeps trying to get the snipes off, but just a little bit too close to the lurkers, so he is going to not get as many snipes off as he'd like. Dark starting to bank up a lot of minerals and a lot of gas, so the remax is going to be as quickly as he loses them. And Time is just going to get on out of there. So right now, it's really Time who's running on a bit of a clock, he feels. And that's why he's kind of keeping this aggression up, just trying to force Dark to stay home for as long as possible. We do see some small tunneling lurkers coming on through. And Dark's going to be able to clean this up quite handedly as well. But still, Time is ahead in supply. The army supply, very equal. And these run-by is just so annoying for a Time to deal with. The nice worm is coming on down as well, so Dark's just going to be hitting as many locations as once. He is down over 30 army supplies, so he is looking for an answer right now. But I don't think Time is going to give him any time, no pun intended. As he gets a couple of kills on the base, the lurkers start to fall as well. I think Time is on an absolute tear in this game. He does lose a few SCVs in the main base, and his production is on fire, but again, he's just able to clean it up so efficiently. Now Dark still only on 175 supply. His biggest problem is that he's running out of bank, it feels like. Time is really able to keep him on his toes and really just making it so difficult to break these positions that Dark is just going to say to heck with it, I'm going straight for your production. There's plenty of reinforcements at home to help out, but this is an overwhelming amount of Zerg. Gonna force time home once again. And buys Dark a lot more time. But we do see that big expansion into 32 more Lings as well. And 12 more workers going down. I feel like Time might be feeling a bit of the sting. I feel like he does know that he needs to get something done. He needs to be aggressive once again. Because if you give Dark any more time on this, then you're just so, like, you're going to be so far behind and it's going to be so difficult to win. I do like how aggressive he's being right now. Just overall, I think the best way to deal with the Zerg, especially when you're kind of being very equal in the trades, is just to keep pushing. Obviously, there's a point where that doesn't work, but right now is not that point. Even just going to be a bit more defensive with the reinforcements. Keeping those at home. Now that was a pretty big commitment out of Dark. Just a really scrappy game so far because these players have not been able to max out as efficiently as they would like. It's very interesting to see kind of a repeat of the last game, but at this, the opposite in terms of who's ahead. With Time going up over 30 arm supply. Now, Dark still has so many options for him. He's got the Nidus Worms in position, as well as the Vision and a couple of Ling run buys as well to keep Time back. But now, I think Time just wants to push because he knows that as he's losing these SCVs, he's on a bit of a clock. Yeah, losing a ton of those SCVs. Dark still equal in supply, funnily enough. I don't even think you should really siege this position. There's nothing going on for you right here. Instead, I think you just got to go straight for the jugular and try and force an engagement with this army. There's actually no Vipers on the production tab or in the army composition right now either. So those siege tanks don't really have a hard counter. I think this is the point where Time, looking to close it out, just going to force the engagement as best he can. Both sides down to under 120. When it comes down to it now, Time just making pure Marines. That's all he feels like he needs. He doesn't really need too many more siege tanks. He just needs that DPS in order to win it. And here we go. Dark gonna be going for the engagement, diving right on top, but the siege tank line is too far back for him to get onto, and he will be forced back once again. What an action-packed game right now. Dark gonna force the engagement once again. There's so many ghosts here. The snipe's just gonna rain like water. And I think this is where Dark starts to run out of steam as his army starts to crumble. Only links in the production tab. the drones are being pulled, and that is going to be it. Time ties up the series 1 apiece. And you know what that means, guys? We are going into game number 3. See you in a sec. And welcome back, guys, for game number 3. It has been a nail-biter of a series. Just amazing to watch so far. And I think you guys can agree that this one is going to be the most action-packed yet. So without further ado, spawning in the bottom position, he is Dark. And his opponent here in the top, he is Time. The two things that you kind of fight against in life. You're always fighting the clock, so you are against time to make some good things happen in your life, and you always want to fight against the darkness because everybody knows that, you know, light is a little bit more preferable. You do need a little bit of dark in your life to make sure that you know when the good times come, but in the end, I'd rather watch an SC2 player called Dark than deal with dark times. Now speaking of this game, we do have pretty standard stuff going on here. We're not going to really see too much go on in the first minute or so. And, you know, that's all right. It takes a little bit of time to get up and running in the game, but once again, we are going to see that Reaper coming out. We have seen some different variations on the openings for Terran players recently. We have seen some players like Bjorn, like Maro, just going straight for the Marine rather than getting the Reaper and just getting this early scout off with an SCV. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to bank that gas and go straight for the factory behind behind your first CC. And, you know, that's a good way. That's a good way to kind of get some more aggression in, a little bit more aggressive in the early game as you're a little bit quicker on your production. Now we see Dark going to be going for a little bit of a defense here versus this Reaper. And honestly, Dark's control is just insane and out of this world, so I don't think the Reaper will really get anything unless he can pull the attention away for the time being. I do like how Dark does buffer that first creep tumor as well. It may seem like a small thing, but once that creep tumor gets up, it really allows you to defend that third base a lot quicker because you already have that established. And really, I think the first creep tumor is the most important. Now, once again, we see the starport coming up. And now he is pumping out Marines. And this tells me that we're going to see some sort of I want to say Hellbat timing off this one, just because when you're pumping out Marines, it means you're going to see the medevac coming down soon, and from there you just go straight into the attack. And actually, it's going to be a bit different as we have the fusion core on the way. Now, Time has been known to play around with mech a little bit. So I'm interested to see if that's the route he's going to be going. That would be pretty fun to see, especially on Light Shade. I think this is one of those weird maps where mech is pretty good, but just against Dark is where I kind of falter a little bit. Now Dark is going to be aggressive with these roaches, pushing the Hellions back for right now. He was supply block for a second there, losing that Overlord. But this, honestly, is starting to be a pretty good defense here for time so far. He can keep those Hellions in a position to attack the Ravagers, and there's only 2 of them right now. So this is going to allow that battlecruiser to get up, and actually the Ravagers going to be completely on their own, so they are going to fall. We do have 4 more in the back, but they just melt when it comes to battlecruiser and Hellions. There you have it. Who called in the fleet? Time did, as he's going to be able to push this back. Dark knows that he can't fight this, so he is just going to back on out of here. We see the armory coming down as well, so this is just going to be a very committed attack here for time. The Hellions able to clear up a lot of this army. Queens are in the production tab to deal with the battlecruiser, but on the ground, they're not going to be able to deal with the Hellbats as efficiently. And there's not much in the ways of army for Dark right now. Taking a look at it, it's mostly just those Lings and Queens. I do got to say, though, Time is losing quite a few of those Hellions, so any kind of attack that he's going to go for with them is going to be a bit delayed, as you do want to kind of bunch those up a little bit more. But as that battlecruiser comes in here, I do think I see the right moves coming out of Dark. He's just going to expand straight up into that hive. He's got the infestation pit on the way, so he can also put the swarm host behind this if he wants to. And, you know, he's just going to start to get some damage done in the natural, as Time going to go for some juicy shots on those Hellbats. As well as that battlecruiser just raining in the sky, as the Queens are distracted. Now it's kind of neck and neck with the workers lost right now. And Dark kind of just smells blood in the water with this. He's gotten quite a bit of damage done and just looking for more and more. The battlecruisers are being forced to stay home to defend. Queens, though, has had to kind of short waddle their way over here to force the battlecruiser back. And honestly, I think Time took the way worst trade right there, as he's down to 40 workers. Taking a look at that income, it's starting to skyrocket for our blue Zerg. Funnily enough, Time is going to be going back into bio with this. That's going to be such a late stim, though. That's going to... honestly, I don't like this decision that much. Just because the upgrades are pretty heavily delayed. Dark is already halfway to 1-1 on these roaches. And he's already got infestors out with that neural parasite as well. He's going to have those fungals for the small amount of bio there's going to be. And so, yeah, that's the one part I don't like about this for Time. One thing to note as well, 76 workers already up and running this early on in the game. He can go up to Hive whenever he wants. It's just, I don't want to discredit Time right now, because he is getting some good damage done. The Widowmine's getting some huge connections in the back. But still, you know, there is still a lot in Dark's court right now. Even going to be sending these tunneling roaches anywhere and everywhere to get some SCV kills. And this is just so annoying for Time to deal with. 18 workers going down to only 40. Man, I mean, Time's struggling in that economy a little bit. If we take a look at the resources lost, Dark is losing a little bit more, but that's kind of to be expected. But it comes down to that income graph here. It's pretty much just the mules keeping him relatively equal. As you can see, a big drop right there. But now Dark has so much room. We see him going up to those +2 upgrades, whereas Time is only on 1-1. And really, with these investors, Time has to be so careful about where he engages into. Already getting the Neural Parasite on the siege tank, so it's going to fire straight on top of those Marines and push this back once again. Time down over 70 army supply, and although he's dropping these Widow Mines and getting a couple of connections here and there, Dark is just in the position where he can remake those and trade them out for army if he so chooses. Now these roaches won't scale as well into the later stages of the game, so if Time can kind of hold out here and Dark keeps making them, that's where he's going to get back into it a little bit here, but I don't know. Dark is just looking very overwhelming right now in pretty much every field. Noach is going to come in here and get a kill on this 4th base as well. Time trying to defend it. But the question is, does he have enough here? Siege Tank's going to get Neural Parasited, so they are going to do more damage to the Marines. The battle crews are going down. A couple of the bios, I think, actually hit right there as well. So although Dark is being pushed back, he is trading very efficiently right now. And look at that, 25 more roaches on the production tab. He can go up the lurkers as well if he wants. Up to +3 attack as well. This is just going to be so difficult for Time to get back into. His one saving grace is he did save the 4th. Funnily enough, you can actually see a little bit of the struggle just in the fact that we have this supply depot in the front with a supply call down. That's kind of showing how Time is getting a little bit supply block here and there and kind of not able to get out of that supply block efficiently. That is just more and more that he could be using for those mules, which he desperately needs right now, as his big attack in the front is going to start to get cleaned up. With +2 upgrades kicking in now, going to help push this back. But back at home, the Roach volley is going to clean up all of the reinforcements. And this is going to force Time to come on home. That is so many scans that he has to use to deal with this as well. Dark just all over him in this game. I gotta say, Time really hasn't been able to get that consistent damage that we saw in the last game. Now Dark getting close to being maxed out once again. He's going to add in that additional Lurker Fire. And again, he's just keeping up with these little Roach Burrow moves just to force Time to remain at home. Time not going to let him do so for right now. He wants to get some damage done right here, right now with this push. Not even going to pull his forces back to deal with this, as he feels this is his best opportunity. Unfortunately, it is primarily Marines. And with those Lurkers, again, I'm just a bit hesitant to say that Time can make this attack work. He does have quite a few siege tanks and some libs in the production, but he's just not able to push too far forward right now. Actually, as those Vipers get a parasitic bomb off on those. Let's take a look at that one more time. This is basically the moment when Time knows he is not going to be able to win this one, as he's losing units in his base, and the parasitic bomb going off going to kill off his entire army there. That's going to be it, and Dark will take the series 2-1. So first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this series and want to support Alpha X and all our great events, make sure you like and subscribe, and also check out all our other social media channels for when we go live. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you at the next big event.